All right.
Hello, and welcome to this. I am site director, John Raridan, and joining me today is owner/reviews editor, Neal Ronahan.
Hi, everybody. It's weird to hear someone else be called the director.
It's weird to say it. It's
Yeah.
bizarre. Hopefully this setup looks okay and sounds okay, and if anything is terrible, let me know, and I might fix it, but I don't know. But yeah, so we are going to talk about just sort of the site, where we want it to go, ideas that we've had. A lot of the stuff that we'll talk about is kind of stuff that we're just kind of thinking about. Like, nothing's really locked down. A lot of this stuff is. Some of it is. But a lot of it's just kind of brainstorming new things we can do with the site. But then also, we wanted to open it up if you guys had questions for me or for Neal, as far as our roles and stuff like that. We can answer those too, or just any other questions. I mean, whatever you want to talk about.
Questions, we'll field them.
Yeah.
But this is a big change. We got, if you're watching this, you're on our YouTube channel. We've had a website that's been up for almost 19 years. Our birthday's in a month. I have it written down. I think it's March 7th, 1999 was when Planet GameCube started. We have a Patreon that's been going strong for almost 2 years, and I wanted to have this kind of Q&A to just kind of reassure everybody that, like, it's gonna be fine. Like, this is all for the best. Like, I'm having a child, so that'll be helpful to not be responsible for the day-to-day of a website, and John is outrageously capable of taking over for me, and he's way less cynical, which is awesome.
I am a happier person. Well, we'll see. How happy were you when you took over? Like, was that just what 7 years does to you? Is just destroys you emotionally?
I think I only had a goatee when I first started.
Well,
the full beard has just grown in.
Somebody did comment in the chat already that I'll need to grow out more facial hair to be a director.
I appreciate Scenario TV's comment about now that I'm in an ownership role. He's telling me, please don't cut salary and trade all your best players like Derek Jeter to Miami, which is like that's a good joke, especially because the Yankees got Giancarlo Stanton, which is going to make the fact that the Packers missed the playoffs and the Blackhawks are probably going to miss the playoffs a little bit better because the Yankees are probably going to scorch the earth this year.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah,
sports talk. Sports. I followed it.
Super Bowl.
I think he might have been talking about baseball. I don't. Maybe.
All right, John. Who you got? Eagles or Patriots?
I think I am, through marriage, obliged to say Patriots.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, I have no actual opinion, but just in case anyone's watching, I think I'm required to say that.
We have another question from Vmon Link 64. My question is this: besides GameCube games, what needs to come to a Switch Virtual Console that will make people want to buy a Switch instead of getting the original hardware?
I think the type of people who would want original hardware are going to buy original hardware either way.
I think that the Classics line is going to be something that Nintendo will probably keep doing. I mean, like, to a degree that's like, no duh.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they've been so weird and cagey about, like, we haven't even heard the phrase Virtual Console in relation to the Switch at all. It's all, I forget the exact terminology, it's like Classic Game Collection or something like that, and that's all tied to Nintendo Switch Online. So
yeah.
There's been no mention of Virtual Console. There's no expectation that is even a thing on Switch, because if you look, the NES Classic probably did better. Well, I mean, it caught them by surprise, so like there was a limit to how well it could have done because they didn't make enough. But the Super Nintendo Classic sold 4 million units in 3 months, and did a Virtual Console game sell 4 million units? Did a Virtual Console game sell 1 million units, let alone 4? Like, that's where I think the future is, for better or worse, even if I would prefer to have, like, the Switch be my everything Nintendo device.
And I wouldn't rule out there being Virtual Console-esque experiences on the Switch. My camera has decided to not look at me anymore. Come over here, camera. Thank you. But those of you who watch my streams know Cambot and his inability to focus on my face. But like so we have the arcade classics already on the Switch, which aren't done by Nintendo. But I think there's the possibility of stuff like that still showing up on the Switch. As far as Virtual Console goes, there is still the potential, like stuff like once you get past N64, and even some N64, but once you get past that, it becomes a lot harder to emulate with the type of hardware that like the NES Classic is and the SNES Classic is.
Yeah.
And so once we get into kind of like GameCube, Wii era stuff, that's where I could see, yeah, that stuff could become digital. But if they're going to do that, it'd be cool to see them take the time to, you know, have that stuff run at 720 or 1080p and have it look nice. Of course, we've talked before about GameCube emulation as a problem because of the triggers being digital versus analog.
Yeah, I mean, and then Wii controls, just period.
Yeah, like, you'd have to... If you're going to get those to work, you might as well just do an HD remaster. I mean, if you're going to invest the time in making every Wii game's controls map to Joy-Cons, you should just start over and do Skyward Sword HD, and that would be fine. Please.
I do remember, I haven't really heard anything like on the, you know, the nitty-gritty rumor scene in a long time about this, but I think around Switch launch, I had heard some buzz about, like, the possibility of Wii emulation maybe happening on the Switch in some way, shape, or form, of making that work on Joy-Con. I can't talk to any kind of specificity or confirmation, but it's, I mean, that's also to an extent, of course Nintendo is going to figure out how to get all of their games future-proof, and that would be one way. I do recall something, and this is outside of what Nintendo's specifically doing, but apparently, like, hackers, you know, in the emulation scene, have figured out a way to emulate Wii and GameCube in a pretty good way. Like, I'm not really that familiar with Dolphin or anything, but apparently there have been strides made to make Wii and GameCube emulation work better than it has been before, which means that Nintendo can do that, too.
Yes. Yeah, and that's definitely something that'll have to stay on consoles for now. Like, that's not something that'll be able to be on a dedicated plug-and-play for the moment. But yes, so maybe there might be Virtual Console, and people might buy the Switch for it. But I mean, Nintendo doesn't need Virtual Console to get people to buy the Switch. I mean, it's doing fine without it, so I don't think it's probably too big a deal for them right at this moment.
I think Virtual Console is a niche. I think the NES and the Super Nintendo Classic are mainstream. And I think that's the big difference that we're going to be looking at going forward.
Yeah. There are improvements that they could make to that line. Like, I'm fine. They continue to do that. Yeah. More games, more systems so that people can actually get them. And then it'd be cool if they were handheld, but that's just me. I mean, that would be the temptation of putting that stuff on the Switch, is that you can play that stuff on the go.
I mean, up next, you'd have to say, like, would it be the Game Boy Classic? Would it be the N64 Classic? Would the N64 Classic be just, like, the 12 Nintendo games that came out on the system and nothing else?
Star Fox 64 in a box that you plug into your TV, and that's it.
We'll find out that Star Fox 64 2 was in development but got canceled.
Yeah, they just, every generation, they give Q Games the opportunity to make a Star Fox game and then shut it down at the last second just to keep Dylan Cuthbert in line.
And then they tried to do that. They did that with Platinum Games, but then they actually released the game.
They're too fast. They're too fast. They just snuck it out under Nintendo's nose. Okay, let's see.
Your camera moved on you again.
It's gonna do that. Cambot is an aggressive being.
Like an automatic camera.
It's really nice for when I'm streaming and playing games because I shift around a lot and move all over the place, and it just keeps me in here.
Whoa, there it goes.
But it's not for like for this where I'm like in a pillar. It's not quite as geared, but I decided to leave it on because I'm adventurous. It's a sign of the adventurous new face of NWR. Bad camera aiming.
Scenario TV asked before we got on our Virtual Console. I have to scroll back up. John, what do you think the site can do to tackle the abundance of games coming out on Switch right now? We're already over 400 games.
That's been realistic. I mean, that's targeted at me, but that's also relevant to you as reviews editor.
I'm the reviews editor now.
But that's been a thing that we've been struggling with. We've seen, wow, I couldn't tell what that was at first, and I was like, what is this thing that's coming off from the side of the camera?
My very fat cat. His name is Iggy.
But it's clear that the Switch has been very popular. There's a lot of indie stuff coming out, and unlike the Wii U, where it was a nice trickle and we could pretty much keep up with it, the Switch has been a challenge in getting reviewers. Not just because people are like, I don't want to review that game, but it's like, I already have 5 games, and so they can't possibly review everything. So I think it's an issue of prioritizing, and then potentially getting more staff. But then you've also started a feature where you kind of go through like the eShop releases, or at least most of them, and give like a paragraph on each one. So even if we're not able to do full reviews right away for everything, we have some sort of like, here's a quick thought on this game if you're looking at getting it. Because
we try to do that. Those generally go up like Friday after, like at the end of the week, after the big downloads day on Thursdays. We've been doing these kind of like weekly release articles that, like John said, they give you a paragraph on a game. So we might not have a review right away because even with a lot of these cases, we have a lot of games coming out, and we only have so much bandwidth from our reviewers because we're all volunteers, as you basically just said. But we're trying to get that there's something out about the game when it's out, so that way you the consumer, the viewer, the listener, the reader, so you can be informed. And if there are any games that have come out and we haven't covered, just like give a shout. I've been getting in the habit since I guess kind of like behind the scenes a little bit. John has been like, we've been in a weird space for most of January where I've been kind of focusing more on being a reviews editor, and John's just been kind of like, I'm going to be the director, but like not yet.
But casually running the site.
Yeah.
But occasionally I forget. Like, I keep having situations where people will ask a question, and it doesn't occur to me that that question is aimed at me and not you.
Yeah,
and then I don't answer it.
And there were a few things like the Game of the Year 2017 stuff, the Tournament of Goaty, where like I was running that. I had to finish that up. But I've been doing like reviews editor stuff for the past month, kind of focusing on it a lot, and I've actually been doing it for a lot longer than that too, because our regular reviews editor, or our previous reviews editor, Brian Rose, stepped down from it. He also writes about wrestling. He got a full-time gig at a wrestling site, and he just didn't have the time to do it. So I've been kind of filling in for that role for a while, which has been really tough with how many stinking games have been coming out.
Well, there's multiple, like when it comes to reviewing that many games, there's the bottlenecks of having people to play and write those reviews. And then there's also the bottleneck of getting all those reviews edited, because we don't just write something and throw it up on the site.
Yeah.
It goes through like an editorial process so that they can correct all of my typos, the really dumb ones especially. And so there's a lot of bottlenecks to get through. So it's just an issue of prioritizing and finding ways to talk about those games, though maybe not always in a traditional review sense, which is what that feature is.
Yeah, and as Scenario TV pointed out, the Patreon updates are great, and for the most part, you're doing well, keeping up with the big releases. Well, thank you. I was building towards pointing out that if you are a patron of Nintendo World Report, I've been getting to the habit of generally every Monday, I just kind of write down like a quick bulleted point list of like, like Don's working on this review, I'm working on this one, we're waiting to get a code for this. Hopefully we'll get it in before launch, and we'll get something up as soon as we can, and just keeping people informed. And I always end those by putting out a call out that if there's a game that we're not covering that you want to know about, just shout it out, because we're here. Like, if a game is good, like Earth Wars is a good example of a game that came out of nowhere that I think Zach posted the review, it should be up, but like that game just dropped on the eShop last week. And it was like $5, and apparently it's a pretty neat little like Muramasa style game. Read Zach Miller's review. It should be up on the site. I edited it last night, but like that's a game that we might have missed. But fortunately, we heard it was actually kind of good, and then we got our stuff together and covered it.
Yeah, well, and a lot of time, I mean, with like smaller eShop games too. with a lot of more like experienced indie developers on the eShop, you'll get, they'll plan out their release date so they have time to send out a review copy. But a lot of those, you get a review copy on the day the game comes out. And so even if we did have the staff to review everything right away, those reviews would still be coming out after the game comes out, just because of the platform.
Yep. Peter Haywood asked, why don't you do one review a week as a weekly feature, plus all the AAA stuff like the Nintendo and Bethesda games? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, as in like just one indie review? Because then there's a lot of games that we'd miss out on if we did that.
Because we do post a lot more than that.
There are a lot of reviews.
It seems like, let me look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 reviews went up yesterday.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Some of that was there was a little bit of a backlog. If you notice, like 3 of them are from Justin Nation.
Don't worry about it. You're ruining my point by saying that. But the point is, there's like multiple reviews. Like, it's pretty much every day. I have to go back a ways into January before I find a day that we didn't post at least one review.
I'd also like to confirm that Zach Miller's Earthbirds review is not up on the site.
You liar. This is why he's not site director anymore.
Pardon me, I'm going to text Zach and be like, hey man, post that review that you said you were going to
post. You're ruining the stream! Everyone's losing faith in the website. Oh no. Let's see. How are you guys going to unify... This is NSA Penguin OT. How are you... Or Penguinot. I never know. You're in my streams constantly, and I still never feel like I'm saying your name right. How are you guys going to unify the website and channel? That's a really good idea. Well, thank you. So one of the things that I talked about with Neal, and if you watched the video that I posted yesterday, just kind of talking about my ideas for the site, one of the things I pointed out is that it seems to us that a lot of the audience that is on NintendoWorldReport.com and the audience that is on NWR TV are largely separate audiences. A lot of the people watching on NWR TV have never been to our website, and a lot of people on our website don't subscribe to our YouTube. So we sort of have these two fan bases, both wonderful, both awesome, full of just, great people. But we would love for those two fan bases to be able to interact more. And to have them all kind of in one place. So, one of the things we want to do is a lot of cross-posting between the two platforms, which sometimes is easier than others. Just a couple weeks ago, we started posting Radio Free Nintendo, our biggest podcast, is now also available on NWR TV, so you can listen to it there. There's other stuff, like when somebody makes a feature over on the website, turning that into a video and having it on NWR TV, but then also having every video eventually wind up on NWR, the website, so that no matter where you are, no matter what your preferred version, no matter what your preferred interaction point for our content is, you can always get all of it. That's kind of what we want to start doing. And as far as YouTube, that's relatively easy. It's just making videos out of stuff and posting them. But then as for the site, because we do kind of ultimately want to bring people back to the site, because you don't have to deal with YouTube demonetizing your video, like they've probably already done to this one. I should actually check.
I don't know. Have we done do? Okay, I ruined it. Sorry.
But yeah. So now you've made me lose my train of thought. So we. Essentially, I guess this is, again, one of those things that is not... Camera, come on, get over here. This is one of those things that we're not totally 100% on, but we've talked a lot about making changes to the actual website itself, kind of doing the potential of redesigning the site and talking what that would be like, and implementing just better integration of the YouTube content into our main site. Because right now, the most convenient way to watch our videos is on YouTube, not on NintendoWorldReport.com.
We should change that.
Right. We should make it so that if you want to interact with anything we make, the best way to do it is to go to NintendoWorldReport.com. And so that's sort of something we've been we've been talking about and conceptualizing. But yeah, we want to bring that all together, and once everything's all together, then we can also start branching out into other areas. Like just the other night, I was on Amazon Video Service, and there are people who have posted like Let's Plays and stuff on Amazon Instant Video, so you can watch Roblox Let's Plays with your Amazon Prime account, which is great, I guess. But then so I started like kind of looking into it, and Amazon's service actually operates really similarly to YouTube, with the ability to upload videos and do seasons of shows and stuff like that. And so I'm not saying we're going to do that, but that's one more area where potentially we could, have our content on another platform and available to a new audience, to eventually pull them back into the main site. That probably didn't answer your question, but it did meander around it for a while, if that helps.
Yeah, that's if you want to rewind and listen to that again, that's part of the reason why I want John to be director and replace me. But yeah, the overall goal, I guess this is me putting on the owner hat for a second, is so we turned 20 in March 2019. I would like to have a site redesign by then. If that'll happen, I'm not going to totally promise that, but that is, as of right now, a year and change out. That's the goal.
Yeah.
We have a lot of what we would like to see there. It's gonna take some time, but that's the benefit of me not being director, is that as like the owner, I can work more on the site redesign. John and I can collaborate on the site redesign. And bring in other people to help make that a reality. And I mean that the redesign, like when I started in 2011 as director, I think there was a redesign like 2010. Whenever Trauma Team came out, somehow I remember that because before Trauma Team we had categories for every review, like gameplay and graphics and stuff, and after that redesign, we took that away, and my first review with that was Trauma Team. So whenever that came out, that's when our last redesign was. That was 2 consoles ago. That was a very long time. We've had, or at least that was like our last like big redesign. There's been some smaller ones since then, kind of more in the back end.
Updates and things like that.
But there was talk around when I became director, of trying to do a redesign, but it's just something that over the years kind of fallen by the wayside because, like, for example, I prioritized launching NWR TV as opposed to working on a site redesign, which I think turned out to be a pretty good decision.
I was going to say, good idea, by the way.
Where we are right
thanks
now.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, and that's why John's here. So yeah, the redesign is something that's going to happen. If you want to help out, I don't know, let me know.
Yeah, if you have web design or programming skills.
Yeah,
email.
March 7th. I think Alexis S is right. I have it marked in my Google Calendar. Gonna have myself a party next year.
Speaking of Alexis S, they also asked, is there going to be an update for the forums? I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's John's realm now.
We'll see what I mean, that could certainly get lumped in with the whole site redesign thing.
That's also something that, I mean, as a director, I was never that active on the forums. There's a lot of staffers that came out of the forums, like our community manager, JP Corbin, who, he came out of the forums and he's still hanging around the forums.
Yeah.
That's something that's just been hard because I think as communication has kind of, I can't think of the right word, I guess spread out, because before it used to be discussions on articles would be taking place on the website in talkback threads. And now we're talking about it on Twitter, we're talking about it on YouTube, we're talking about it on Facebook. Everything's spread out, and it's a challenge of how to kind of get that group together. I mean, we have a Discord now, which is replaced IRC, finally. Not that IRC is really that bad, but IRC is very dated. And even through the technical difficulties of last year's NWR telethon, using Discord for that, I think, is the way of the future.
Yeah. Let's see. Andy Gorgon says, John, please quickly review Kirby's Epic Yarn. It has the distinct advantage of not playing like a Kirby game, so it's actually okay.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no, I like Kirby's Epic Yarn. And it's pleasant. It has lovely music. I use the music a lot for random
really
videos and stuff. It doesn't seem to get copyright flagged, so that's helpful. But yeah, no, I like Epic Yarn. That was my review. I
love Epic Yarn.
8 out of 10.
I stand by my 10 out of 10.
Sure. Let's see. Oh, by the way, NSA Penguinot says it's OT, not OT. So that question is answered from earlier. Let's see. John, would you ever again do the N64 versus Wii U things like you did with Star Fox 64 Majora's Mask? I'd love to see you take a look at F-Zero X and Sin and Punishment. Sin and Punishment would be hard because we'd have to like import it from Japan, and then I have to buy it on the Virtual Console, and then buy it on the Virtual Console again. That's an expensive video right there. F-Zero maybe that would be more doable. That's just a question of getting all the footage together for those. But yeah, I would like to do more of those eventually.
So GX asked, "Will you update the advertisers page?" This is the first time that I've learned that there's an advertisers page on this website, and it's really funny.
What?
It's generalreport.com/advertising. It's been at the bottom of the site for a long time, and somehow I never knew it was there.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this should get updated. We're also not looking for advertising. By the way, back over the summer...
Though if you do want to advertise your PDAs on our site...
Like, I kind of want to leave this up.
I'm behind it.
DVDs and DVD players, cellular phones, pages.
Coffee?
Like, when was this written?
I don't know. It has
anyway,
no owner.
We had a problem a while ago of whatchamacallit, like redirect ads that would like redirect you to the app store and stuff.
Yeah, and like pop-up ones and
yeah. We changed providers back September, August, something like that. It should be fine. It seems to be really good ads. Like, from going on the site myself, I think that the ad quality is a lot better than it used to be. And, yeah, like, if there is anything bad with them, let us know. Yeah.
I mean, right now, currently, I have an ad for My Time in Portia, which is a game that's coming out on Switch. Yeah. So that's actually relevant.
Yeah, I have a Frito-Lay Dreamvention Family Edition. That seems all right. And Best Buy.
All right, well, that's relevant.
Yeah. I'm just going to keep on going. Apartments.com with Jeff Goldblum. That fits. And Tax Act. I mean, that's timely. You got to do taxes.
All right, so what are we doing here? Let's see.
Where can I buy a Bigfoot pizza these days?
What?
I don't know.
Was that on the advertiser page?
It might have been.
More pizza advertising, please.
Oh, Peter Haywood, will you be reviewing SteamWorld Dig on Switch? Yes, we posted a review on NintendoReport.com on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday.
Are you sure about this one, Neal?
Zach,
yep, there it is. There it is. I see it.
Thank you. I'll see. You know what? Here's a live checking to see. Okay, yeah, there was a family emergency. That's all right.
Okay.
Zach's allowed.
I'll expect a doctor's note, or whatever. A note from Zach's supervisor. Let's see. Who will be doing the stream? This came out up a couple times. I still plan to do Saturday night game streams. I think I will somehow find the time to play a video game for like an hour on Saturday night. I don't know how, but I will pull it off. Don't you worry. It will be Star Fox Assault every single week, but it will still happen.
Oh, GX, you said I just lost a lot of confidence in the former and current head of the Nintendo World Report staff on not picking up the Reggie reference. Oh, I got it. I'm aware that.
Oh,
Reggie
that's the pizza thing we're talking about. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that was Reggie's idea.
Okay.
When he was, I guess, what was he, like, marketing or something for Pizza Hut? I wonder what Reggie would have been like as a boss back in the Pizza Hut days.
I wonder if Reggie ever looked at the advertising page on our website when he was trying to advise his pizza.
Yeah, maybe it's
considered...
like, we get to the 16 to 30-year-olds.
Yeah,
sell them some PDAs.
we'd be. I was gonna say we'd be competing with the PDA market, which I don't know if we want to do, but still. So you're not streaming tonight, though, John. Ask me again when this stream is over, and I'll tell you if I'm streaming tonight. I don't know what my plan is. If I do, I will stream Star Fox games per your suggestion. So that's what'll happen.
I will point out, going back to Peter's question about SteamWorld League on Switch, that if you came just to Nintendo World Report TV, we don't have a review of SteamWorld League on Switch.
Yeah.
Which, that's goes back to speaking about the divide between the YouTube and the website. Going forward, hopefully we'll have more video reviews. I edited my first video review last night, and it's watchable. It's for Dandara, so I can't say anything else about it because it's embargoed until Tuesday. But like, it's a video review. I did it. So now that's not a scary thing. I haven't done any video editing of really any kind of size since like high school. So now that I have time of not running the website, I'm going to try to focus on doing that. And with that, hopefully we'll have more reviewers that can also capture footage and edit their own reviews. And if not, we just added another person in me who can edit video reviews. So in the past, it's been like, what, you, John,
it was pretty much me and Jared for a while. Casey and David have both picked it up really well.
Yeah.
So it's getting there. It's getting to the point where it's a lot easier for a reviewer to go and be like, who can do a video of this? And then there's like 5 people who are just... Someone's always available.
And that also goes back to just the bulk of games on Switch. If you look early on in the Switch's life, we have video reviews for like every game. It was awesome.
We were doing good.
And then 1 million games dropped in September, and we've been trying to catch up since. I'm going to actually, just to kind of keep on practicing editing video reviews, I might like do some reviews that I've written in the past and mess around with making video reviews for them. So if there's games that like Darkest Dungeon is one that I might do. I don't know. I'd have to look to see what other stuff I've kind of reviewed in the past couple months. I might do like a review for Overcooked or something. And with those, I might even have like updated takes on it. Like there's been updates to games since then. And if you only went on the website, then you would know that we used to kind of do these things called review revisits, which where we'd get people a couple months after like a big game came out, or maybe a couple years, and have them kind of give like a 250-word review with the final score. And so you'd have a lot more opinions of people than just the initial reviewer. We're doing one for ARMS soon, and we'll be doing one for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think, like later in the month. With both of those, I'm going to try to do some sort of video editing project with them so that way they can get up. I am not 100% confident that I will be able to pull this off on a regular basis, but I'm saying this here to call myself out and put myself on notice to actually get this done. So hopefully we'll have more review video content, as that's something that, as reviews editor, I'm going to focus on.
So everybody cut out that little segment of this video and just tweet it at Neal every time a game doesn't get a video review on launch day or on embargo day.
And once again, if you want a video review of something and we don't have one up...
What? I think did I lose Neal? Neal has frozen in an awkward position. Neal, you're frozen. Neal! Well, I'm just gonna sit here and chat with you guys. Oh, Skype just died on Neal. Okay, I'm going to hang up on Neal, and we will get him back as soon as we can. I don't know. I kind of like awkward frozen Neal. It's kind of a nice a nice touch. Okay. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're back.
Hi.
Hello. I was kind of just hoping I could keep your frozen head there for the rest of the stream.
How did it look? I haven't.
It was a good. You looked probably the best picture of you ever, I'd say.
All right, I might have to go find this. Yeah, no, my Skype just crashed because Skype's a garbage program.
Did you lose your ability to do video?
Oh, is it not coming up?
No, I just have I have shovel.
Oh, there we go.
There you are. There you are. Okay.
I'm back. I think when I did the call, I was just calling audio as opposed to calling video.
You monster. Okay, what were we? You were in the middle of saying something. What were we talking about?
Something about review videos. We're gonna have more review videos. That's what I'm gonna try to do.
Yeah, and I said everyone tweet that at Neal.
That was basically it. Then I'm just repeating myself.
Okay, so where were we? You should do a stream where you play just Yoshi's Circuit at 200cc for 2 hours. No.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
Have you played Yoshi's Circuit at 200cc?
Yes. Yes, I have. I think I'm... Oh, it ties into another question, and then I think on one of the Patreon game nights, we played Yoshi's Circuit at 200cc.
It's the worst... Like, of all of the levels, you don't think of it as being, like, an incredibly difficult level, but because Double Dash, like, in Double Dash, your car's just stuck to the road so well that when you then bring that level into another Mario Kart game where your cars don't do that, and then crank it up to 200cc so your cars just slip and slide, that level's impossible. I hate it.
I want to throw something out there.
Okay.
For charity, let's play Yoshi Circuit at 200cc for 2 hours.
I feel like if you're doing like a charity thing, I think you're supposed to do like a 24-hour live stream.
We start with 2 hours, and we'll see how the donations go, and we'll go from there. Or we could also have it be where it's just a lot of other like horribly repetitive but funny things. Like maybe we could do Baby Park for 2 hours too. Like
we can turn the sound down.
We could do some things with this. Let's brainstorm other things that would be like very funny to make us do for 2 hours in video games.
Let's see. Annoying Nintendo. We could sit on the Buck Bumble title screen for 2 hours.
No, that's just too good. Like, that's not bad. That's incredible. I like that. There was a time, like a year or two ago, where I think I had like Jared and the Third Rate Minion guys over to like play some like N64 games and stuff, and we streamed Buck Bumble, and then like you did something with Buck Bumble like a week later, completely unrelated.
Did I?
I think so.
I think I did Let's Play at one time.
Yeah, no, and I think that was right around when I did a stream.
It's just
where we played Buck Bumble. We played the Buck Bumble soccer game, which is not good, but that game is surprisingly decent for what it is.
It's pretty much Blast Ball.
Yeah.
But with bees.
Yeah.
So, if you liked Metroid Prime Federation Force, you will love Buck Bumble.
Looking up. Would it be awesome for former Nintendo Power employees Chris Slate, Chris Hoffman, Justin Chang, or Steve Thompson to join your site? Yes.
Sure.
Yes, it would be awesome.
Why? Do you know them and do they want to?
Chris Slate, that would be an impossibility because dude's working at NOA right now, putting out
won't tell anybody.
The really good Nintendo Power podcast.
We'll give him a pen name. and no one will ever know. And if he accidentally tells us some stuff that Nintendo's working on, the secret new F-Zero game, then, it happens. We won't tell.
GX asking, is Patreon game night still a thing? Because I don't think it's been a thing for a while. But the last point, you're correct. We did do a game night last night. The Talk Nintendo guys did, Perry and Casey, which it seemed like it was a good time.
That's actually a good segue into something that that me and Neal have talked about, is that we definitely, one of the areas that we can improve how we handle things is our getting that sort of like Patreon exclusive stuff more consistent.
Yeah.
We've talked about the idea of, because in the past it's always been, we try to assign like one person to be in charge of that stuff, but being a volunteer run site, if that one person happens to be busy that day, like, we can't do anything about it. So we've talked about the idea of kind of forming little, like maybe you still have one person in charge of each department, but then having sort of, 2 or 3 other people on their team. So one example that we gave was forming a sort of Patreon team to manage all that stuff and to make sure that you guys are getting, because you guys are awesome. You're giving us, you're allowing the site to exist. So we want to make sure that, you're getting what you're paying for.
I just look back at the freeze frame of me. Good Lord.
Yeah, it's real good. It's real good. That'll be
Great.
We'll find some sort of meme to make out of that. Oh, Metroid Other M for 2 hours. I'll do that.
Yeah, but
that
only,
game can't be that much longer
but
than
it's
2 hours.
movie mode. It's movie mode.
Oh, that's what I do on my Friday nights. So that's, yeah, if you guys want to donate money to charity to just watch me watch Metroid Other M. I actually did, when we did the top Metroid games video, I knew I was going to want to use some of the cutscenes from Other M. And so I just hooked up my capture equipment and let movie mode play and just watched Other M. It's a masterpiece of cinema.
It's a good time. It's comparable to The Room.
If it's more impressive than The Room in that you're watching it render in real time.
That is
okay.
That
you
is
just
neat.
Listen to your Wii going like
Yeah.
as it desperately tries to load through every cutscene. It's great. That game's, I will say here and now that I think Other M is probably better than it gets credit for.
I'll agree to that. I think the story is like horrendous. It's funny in how bad it is, but like that's terrible.
I think the story is not great. I think the acting is horrendous.
The
acting
dialogue
makes the
is pretty
story
bad.
worse.
I think there's a way you can do that story and not have it be ridiculous. They did.
Yeah.
It was called Metroid Fusion.
Yeah.
Like there's a way, but like I think that Samus's voice actress. I mean, as far as I know, I think she was like told to deliver things that way. Like it just became a joke. And I think
they
the
were going
gameplay
for a Blade
of
Runner vibe.
Yeah, I think the gameplay of that game is solid. I think the pixel hunts are bad, but I think the moment-to-moment action is pretty good. And I think we're going to see bits of Other M find that, like, the good parts of Other M, as in parts from the gameplay, are going to find their way into future Metroid games, which they kind of did in Samus Returns.
Yeah, like the whole like melee counter system is straight kind of an adaptation of what was in Other M. I think the combat in Other M was probably its best feature. You can play Donkey Kong 64 in the meantime. No. Thank you, though. Just Fire Emblem Conquest on Lunatic for 2 hours. Just let everyone die. I would definitely appreciate more value for my Patreon dollars, but I do understand you have to please camps beyond us. Yes, but you are the camp that allows us to be here to please the other camps.
Yeah.
So you're an important camp.
As owner, I will be putting pressure onto John as director to solidify the Patreon value.
I'm going to hide behind the logo. Oh, no, the camera's adjusting.
I mean, that's something that, like, I recognize that as a failing over the past few months. Like, the game nights, I really... Like, I mean, what kind of happened with the Patreon game nights is just because of my life and my schedule. Like, I have a pretty garbage commute for my day job. And put on top of that, like, I'm having a baby in a couple months. Like,
Yay.
I couldn't handle that by myself. And it happens where being volunteers kind of stuff falls by the wayside, and we just could never get into a regular routine. I would love to see a regular routine for game nights happening. I do want to point out, and I think I mentioned it in the Patreon post, that we've had a Patreon exclusive podcast. that I have been more or less hosting for the past since we started doing the Patreon podcast. I have been hosting those episodes, and like the past year, I've had Zach and Donald, and we've been doing kind of like this game of the month stuff. Um, I think we technically did have one for January because we did two in quick succession because we were trying to catch up so we could do the Tournament of Godi in January. But regardless, you should be getting a double dose of those podcasts in February. I'm going to be doing something with Zach and Donald to kind of put a bow on the Tournament of Godi, which vote now. It's between Zelda and Breath of the Wild. Zelda and Breath.
It's between Zelda and Zelda.
Yeah,
who will win?
It's between Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. It's pretty close. I haven't checked the voting in a little bit, but that will end on Tuesday. So get your votes in if you want to try to settle the battle for the ages, which is better, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey. The winner will be our game of the year for 2017. But I'll be doing a recap podcast of that, and then John from here on out will be doing the monthly Patreon podcast. I don't know exactly what you have planned for that, but
Oh, I have a plan, and it is a plan that is totally a planned out plan.
all right.
That I've put thought
Let me
into.
know if you need someone to appear on that show.
So much
I'd be happy to
planning
do
has
that.
been done. Don't you worry. Under control. Room in the Night Sky. That's a good charity game. We
Yeah.
should do that.
NSA Penguinot says, Neal, did you cancel the pre-order on your robot set Labo? I did not. I still have it for now.
Good.
I do. I mean, just looking. So there was some press coverage. Unfortunately, we weren't a part of it. But I mean, like, also the public can currently play Labo in New York City if you were part of the cherished few. I tried to get my brother and his kid to go in and check it out. I still have my pre-order. I'm definitely getting that variety kit. Like, that variety kit just seems so neat. Like the stuff where like the RC car has like uses the camera on the bottom, or like the infrared camera on the bottom of the Joy-Con can apparently see in night vision, and you can like have the car go to heat sources. Like, that's so neat. Probably the thing that will keep me from not getting the robot kit is so my brother lives nearby. He's got a child. She's 9 years old. She's wonderful. We hang out and play games a lot, and it's wonderful. And she's the best. I love her. If she's into this, they don't have a Switch yet. I'm probably gonna get the Labo robot kit, if only just for my niece, because I don't know, like.
And a little bit for you.
Yeah, but like,
I mean,
I'm 6'2".
They've said
I just see problems. They
there
said
was
that.
there was a press release that said there is no height restriction on the robot. So it is your job as an investigative journalist
I'll
to
test
get
it
that
out.
robot.
I'll test it out.
Yeah.
420 blaze cardboard. That's what we're gonna do.
That's also when God of War comes out. So it'll be interesting to see in the deathmatch between God of War and Nintendo Labo which reigns supreme on 420. I'd say that's God of War has pretty much committed suicide by releasing on the same day as Nintendo Labo.
GX is saying, I would definitely prefer podcast content that doesn't involve ranking games. There's a lot of Patreon content that involves ranking games. I kind of like ranking games. So now that John's doing it, maybe he doesn't like ranking games that much. But yeah, if there's other things, I mean, I know we've been doing the Patreon plays thing, which I think I might actually be able to do, GX. So I'll be talking to you about SteamWorld Heist next week. That'll be cool. Can Shaq be a cardboard robot? Sorry, that distracted me, but it's also from GX, so he's distracting me from his own question.
Do you think if we sent Shaq a Labo kit, he would write a feature for us?
So people that are more familiar with my day jobs in the past might be able to put this together, but I wrote copy for a Shaq ad a couple of years ago. So yeah, I'm just gonna say that. So Shaq and I go way back. Um, um, but can Shaq be a cardboard robot? I think Nintendo needs to do this, or we need to find a tall person.
I don't know any.
Yeah,
Uh,
but yeah, I mean,
when
if
John
there's
is done being director, can I do it and run this ship into the ground while I escape with a golden parachute?
would the golden parachute just would that actually work?
Is it just like spray painted gold, or is it like a solid
Yeah,
gold parachute?
if it's solid gold, I think you're screwed, man.
I have terrible news for you. You're going to be flat.
Yeah. When John is being done director, we'll cross that bridge when it comes.
Which
I
will be
hope
in like
it's.
a week. I mean,
I
so
hope
don't. I mean,
no,
prepare your parachute. Prepare. It's.
Right now, my goal is to get the site to 20.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at.
And then
have a child over the summer, and then get the site to 20.
Once
that's my life.
it's at the ripe old age of 20, then we can kill it.
Yeah.
And everything will be fine. It had a
Gonna
good
get it
run.
to 20. Gonna get it to 21. We're gonna buy Nintendo World Report of beer, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna be like, get a job.
We're gonna pour the beer on the NWR servers, NWR headquarters that totally exist, and the site will just fizzle out of existence.
The NWR headquarters deep in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
That's
where we are currently broadcasting from.
Yeah.
If you took away this bar in the middle of the screen, Neal and I are actually sitting right next to each other.
Yeah.
Hi, Neal.
Okay.
And you did it. You got it right the first time.
Okay.
And yeah, we just decorate our rooms very weird. Trying to figure out the geometry of how this room would have to look for that to all be one room. I can't. Oh wait, hang on. If I like do that and then you reach over, then it's whatever. I have no. This is. It's all falling apart. I need to finish. Yeah, finish SteamWorld Heist.
Yeah, it's a very, very good game.
When John is done being director, the line of succession loops back to John Lindemann. So, I guess we should let him know.
Do we need to work out a line of succession? Like, if the director were to go down,
If I die, what happens?
Yeah. I think Louis the Cat would become director. I think. R.I.P. Louis. By the way, I mean, for people,
bring the whole thing down there.
I mean, like, he's still on the same spirit, man. Like that's our founder's beloved cat for like 16 years. Louis was an awesome. I got to meet Louis one time. There's so many people that are gonna have no idea what I'm talking about. That's from like years and years ago.
Well, wait. So shouldn't it then loop back to Billy Berghammer then, not John Lindemann? If it's,
I mean, it could. He was technically
busy,
never
right?
a director.
He'll just
Yeah. He's just off working in a treehouse.
Yeah,
Like,
just bring him back. He's got it.
I mean, technically, Billy was never director. I know that's
Was there
what,
no director role?
So early on, I think Johnny Metz, I think, was the first director, or
Okay.
and up until me, Metz was the longest tenured director. I think he was there for 4 years in that role. I was there for 7. So if you want, if you get
substantial lead,
if you get to 8, yeah, like that was. I think Andy Gergen, who is still in this chat, I think. He dug up an email from when I became director in which Johnny was gloating about how Lindemann stepping down as director means that he's the longest tenured director. And I forgot about that, but I'm glad I remembered because I just went up and clowned on him and just doubled him almost. So yeah, maybe we do. If when you step down, we'll give it back to Metz to see if he can muster it for 3 years to try to gain the longest tenured crown back. But he's off like
back out of retirement.
He's making spaceships or something. I don't know.
He's once again not busy.
Yeah.
So it's just all those guys. They retire from the site and just they don't really do anything. They certainly don't make spaceships or work for Nintendo or any of that stuff.
Yeah. Or what does Lindemann do?
I mean,
still an RFN.
Yell at James on RFN.
Yeah. It has to be done.
Someone's got to do it.
Like Greg and Guillaume are too nice. I mean, I guess Greg, you need to push real far. I feel.
Yeah. Come on, camera. There it is. Camera really wants to look over there. I don't know what's over there, but it's desperate. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to look for like actual questions. Do you think Mother 3 on Switch will happen? Nope. Nope. Not.
I agree.
No. It's. Nope. Next question.
So there was, I guess, going back to Mother 3. I want to say it was at Destructoid, in which they said something about how like Mother 3 was in localization, but then they got to the Magypsies scene, and then we're like, this can't happen. I guess to you can go look up the details of that, but essentially the Magypsy characters are like they're transgender, so there's not really an easy way to do that in an English localization. So I don't know what the odds of Mother 3 are. Like that does seem like a legitimate stumbling block. However, there is a fantastic fan translation done by the Fangamer people. It's out there. I played through it when they first launched it. I want to say like 2008 was when they came out with it. And like that game's real good. I like it a lot. I wish that it would come to English at some point.
I won't say anything about the Mother franchise, as to not turn everyone against me before I've been site director for too long.
Crush Tornado says, is Neal happy that he was the longest tenured director, but it happened during the Wii U? Or would he have rather been a short tenured director during the GameCube or early Wii years? First, I was the longest tenured director, but it happened during the 3DS, which is like Nintendo's best handheld. So that I'm not mad about.
Well, the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. But as far as like I started being director like 2 months before the 3DS came out, and if I was the director during like the 3DS's run, like I'm fine with that. Like definitely running things during the Wii U era got real tough. Even if I was legitimately very excited for the Wii U, and I enjoy a lot of that system. I understand why it failed.
Yeah.
And going back to being a short tenured director during the GameCube or early Wii years, I wish I could have been a part of the site back then. I was a reader. I loved playing at GameCube back when I was younger. I probably would have been a terrible writer if I tried to write for the site when I was like 15. So maybe it was better that I didn't start until I was like 20. But yeah, like I love that era. It was an era that I really followed the site closely.
Alexis S says, what would you say you are most proud of, Neal, from your time as director?
Oh God, the fact that the site's still alive. I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of.
I mean, that's
because like there were some dark times, man. Like the Wii U era was not good for Nintendo World Report in some respects. The fact that we've made it through, like that's I'm very happy with that. Like, who knew when you cover Nintendo and they put out a system that bombs, it hurts your website?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
You were supposed to say hiring John Reardon.
So I can get to the
fine.
I can get to the more emotional side of this, which was like legit people tweeting at me about different stuff has gotten me to pretty much just like start single tear rolling constantly.
Twitter has been like, normally Twitter is a cesspool of scum and villainy. Twitter over the past day, with various current and ex staff members tweeting at you, has been like the most heartwarming and delightful thing. And yeah. I wish Twitter could be that nice and friendly all the time.
I'll just have to step down from roles once a week.
I'll
be like, all right, guys, I'm just gonna be a associate editor.
Yep. We'll just switch to news editor next week, and then be like features editor, and just bounce around.
But no, I mean, really, it's the fact that like, and I didn't really realize this, that like, there were people that started, and you very well could be here. There are people that started going to the site when I was director, like they don't know another director. And for me, as someone who started going to the site in like 2001, like that's weird to me that like I've been here so long that there are people that their entire like a span of viewing the site has been when I've been a part of it. And I've been at the site for almost 10 years total, and like that's the most rewarding thing about it is the fact that like people actually genuinely care about what we're doing. And it's not anything too grand. Like we're talking about video games, but we do it in a way that because we're not doing it full time, we're not depending on like I mean when I say about like the site falling on hard times, like I don't think there was ever really a threat of the site closing down because we're doing this from a volunteer standpoint.
Right.
It was getting to a point where like the site was kind of losing money,
Yeah.
but it wasn't to the point that it was like, well, this is it, we're done.
Right.
Like,
as long as we can pay for our domain name.
yeah,
or,
and the server and stuff
Yeah.
like that. There's more costs than you would think.
Yeah.
With like running this website. But even still, like we're doing this from a different perspective, and we're not going to be a major site. We're not going to be I guess like the influencer brand of YouTuber. I was going to say we're not going to be a major YouTuber, but I want to be a major YouTuber.
Sure.
But I want to get there on our own
selling out.
terms. Yeah, I want to get there on our own terms, and our own terms are we're going to keep on doing our thing. Like we're gonna speak truthfully about what we like and what we don't like, and do that in a way that we're not dependent on like outside advertisers or appeasing people and stuff like that outside of our patrons. And I'm kind of rambling about this, but just going back to what I'm proud about. What I'm proud about is that there are people that like I've helped and I've touched over the years, just as a manager. Some of like I didn't realize like I mean there's some people that like went on to write stuff. Like I gave the example of actually John's old cohort at 8 Worlds News, Tyler Treese, who we were overrun with reviews. I want to say it was the 3DS, like when the 3DS eShop was heating up.
It certainly wasn't the Wii U at any point, so it
Nope.
must have been the 3DS.
But we were kind of like a little backed up with reviews, and I posted on Twitter, like, does anybody want to review something? And he replied to that, and I gave him a code, and he wrote a review, and I edited it and posted it on the site. And now that dude's like, like a senior editor at PS Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, he's been a successful freelance writer and now has a full-time staff role. And like, I helped out. Like, I didn't do that much. I gave the dude a review and was just like, you can do this. It's easy. And then he did it. And like, it's stuff like that. Like, that's kind of why I do this. Like, I give up a lot of my free time to run a website in my spare time. And like, it's worth it because of stuff like that. Anyway.
Yeah. I got a lot of comments happened while you were talking.
Yeah.
Has either John or Neal collected all 900 Korok seeds? No. No.
I've got better things to do.
I think if there's one thing, I think we agree on this, that you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, if there's one thing about Breath of the Wild that I'm absolutely confident about, it's that Nintendo has no interest in you collecting all the Korok seeds, and went out of their way to point it out to you. But if that's how you want to live your life, you do you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing is that, like, if you were on this channel and saw the Nintendo News Report in which Justin Berube and I just yelled at each other about Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey for like an hour and a half, and we talked about some other games and made a top 5 list, I totally get where Berube's coming from. He's a kind of like a completionist when it comes to Nintendo games, and he's trying to get all 900 Korok seeds, and it's making Breath of the Wild a lesser experience because that's what he expects to do in that game. For me, I go into it, and I think I got like 200 or 300 in my playthrough, and then I switched out and I lost my save, and I'm I think Breath of the Wild's incredible. The thought of replaying that in any kind of timely manner is very terrifying. I got like I put like another 10, 15 hours into it after I lost my save, and I'm just like, no, I just need to go back to this every now and then and just play a little bit when I do, because I played a good 80 hours of that game and lost it all over the summer. So, but anyway, but Ruby's a completionist about it, and I can understand why he wouldn't like Zelda as much because of that. By the same token, I'm not a completionist. I've kind of gotten to the point where, unless I'm reviewing a game where things become a little different that way, but like if I get to a point in a game and I'm not having fun, I'm just gonna stop playing the game. Like
That's
I
healthy.
do that.
Yeah.
I do that with a lot of RPGs. Like I'll put like it could be a 50-hour RPG. I kind of did it with Xenoblade Chronicles X. I got my mech suit and I stopped. Like because I was like, all right, I got this. Like I'm not. I know, John, you adore that game. For me, it didn't click with me as much, and I wasn't enjoying it that much. And I got to the mech suit and was like, all right, I think I'm done. And like, I still got 20, 30 hours of that game. Like that's fine.
Yeah. You should just go back. They should. Well, maybe they'll
Uh,
put it on Switch. Because if you
yeah,
didn't get to the point, you need to get to the
I,
point where your mech can fly, and then you'll have like one of the most beautiful, euphoric gaming experiences ever.
See, my thing is, I still have to get through Xenoblade Chronicles 2,
We'll
so
do
they
that
can.
too.
They don't need to bring X. I don't have enough time for
Yes.
these.
Well, I'm
Got a
ready.
baby on the way.
I'm ready,
Uh,
Neal.
Carmine Red, who I'm gonna call out because he was my news editor when I first started as a staff news writer in 2008, and Carmine was the best news editor, and I'm so glad that he's still a part of the site. Um, Carmine helped me out a lot when I first started on Nintendo World Report. He asks, why did you stay reading and then being a staffer of the site for so long? I stay reading. I like the content and I like the personality. Even more so when they started doing Radio Free Nintendo. And then being a staffer of the site for so long, it's because now this site's just a part of me. Like you can't get rid of me. I love the history. I love the people. I love doing this. It's just that I can't do it like I used to, which is why John's gonna do it better than me, right, John?
Maybe we'll see. All of our content will now. I mean, there will be more. I will do a better job of producing a higher grade of Star Fox content than you ever did. Beyond that, I can't. I don't know what else I can say.
Um, uh, Roro Noah Zorro says NWR was a legit oasis during the Wii U era, and even now, really. Thanks. Like that's what we try to do. We're trying to do things our way, and I think it's slightly different than other sites. And maybe it's not for everyone, but I'm glad it's for you.
Well, it's just. I mean, the thing that attracted me to NWR, and I think what's reflected here in the comments a lot is the like the Radio Free Nintendo tagline is it's a Nintendo podcast for grown-ups, and I think
Yeah.
I mean you can apply that to the whole site. It's a Nintendo fan site for grown-ups, and so
I mean,
it's not just a bunch of like rumors and like, oh, Smash 5, it's gonna happen during this press conference for
yeah, like
Labo. Like it's just like it's news and stuff written by people who've been doing this for a long time. It's an old site. It has just a different feel about it than a lot of other sites. And maybe that's because we're wildly outdated, but I like to think it's just the character of the site. And like I mean, I remember, and I commented on this in the video that went up yesterday, but like a lot of like when I was reading this site just as a big fan was like when I was in high school and everyone else I knew were avid Microsoft or Sony fans, and I was like, we? And so it was just having a voice out there on the internet of like rational adults who are like, yeah, these Nintendo games are good, was very
like Warrior Land Shake It is our like everybody loves this game.
Yep.
Look at the art; it's cute and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was very reassuring to be like, all right, there are others. I'm not insane, or if I am, here's some other people who are also equally insane. And I think that meant a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to a lot of people, clearly. And I'm also very happy at how many Star Fox World Report jokes were made on on Twitter yesterday and on Discord and everywhere.
Yeah.
That was good.
Krushanada asks, "What did Neal
It
think of freelance writing
it's
for IGN?"
it's Kushranada. It's from Gundam
Krush.
Wing.
Okay,
Neal, you uncultured
I,
swine.
I I do not watch Gundam Wing. Kushranada, is that
Kushranada.
Kushranada?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I've been saying that wrong for years.
Well,
To
it's
be
a good
fair,
thing you stepped
I,
down
I've
after
never
this
I've never
embarrassment.
realized I have to actually say it out loud until reading this chat.
Yeah.
Uh, so what did Neal think of freelance writing for IGN? It was all right. Freelance writing in general, like I did that for a couple years. Like, um, when I got out of college, I was like, I'm gonna be a freelance games journalist, and then kind of realized that that's real hard to do. And then I just kind of did it as a thing for fun. So first, like I like freelance for One Up and GamePro back then, and then they both died. Um, and then I wound up doing some stuff for IGN, kind of on and off over the course of a couple years, and like it was a totally good time. Like I don't really have any bad stories from freelancing other than like it probably doesn't pay as much as you hope it would, and it's very hard to make a full-time career out of it, which is why I have a day job, and also why I got to a point where I just focus like in the bandwidth that I have to like write about video games, I focus a lot more on just doing it for Nintendo World Report. I do still write a couple articles every issue for Nintendo Force magazine, which I primarily do that because it's pretty cool getting a magazine with stuff that I wrote in it every 2 months. That's pretty much the reason why I do that. And it's like I do like 2 or 3 reviews an issue, and the issues are every other month, so it's not that much of an ask. And the deadlines are a little more reasonable. Generally have longer lead times and stuff.
There's another one from Kushinada is better question. Is there a feature or element of NWR from the past that you stopped doing that you kind of wish had kept going or want to revive? And I think one that me and Neal can agree on is know your developers.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
back in, like, 2015, we're like, there will be more episodes next month. And then it never, ever happened. And we are going to make more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my campaign promise as your president.
I will go this far to say that significant research has been done on a Know Your Developers for Monolith Soft.
Yes. Which is that'll be an epic return for Know Your Developers.
Yeah.
Because that'll be a big...
So here's the thing with Monolith
episode.
Soft. As I'm going through it, is that you have the through line of it's Tetsuya Takahashi, right?
Yeah.
And the through line with Takahashi too is also cool because his wife Soraya Saga is also integral to that company. Like I feel like she doesn't get as much credit as she does because I mean they met back when they both worked at Square Enix as artists and then wrote the script for what would become Xenogears, and then after that we're like, yo, we're gonna go do our own thing, and then they went off and did Monolith, did Xenosaga, Xenoblade 1 and 2. And like just that alone is a good story, and there's a lot of like information about that about Takahashi going through that all. And then you have everything on the side. You have the fact that there's 2 Monolith Softs. There's I think one in Kyoto and one in Tokyo, and like there's kind of the main developer that's doing the big games like Xenoblade, but then you have kind of like a smaller subsection doing like Dragon Ball games and Project Cross Zone and stuff like that. And it's just like that company is really fascinating to me, and I look forward to finishing up the research and then working with John to make a video.
Yay.
Is Masahiro Sakurai an ageless superhuman from the time before time, and will he be a benevolent god as generations pass, both human and console? I will point out, has anybody seen Sakurai in a while? He's been writing those articles, but where is he? What's he look like? Maybe he's got a like...
I assume he can only maintain his human form for a certain amount of time, and then he has to recharge.
Yeah.
So he probably recedes back into his cave of... What was the interview with him where, like, he goes to work for, 27 hours a day, and then goes home, gets on his stationary bike, and plays video games while he works out, and then goes to sleep? And, like, that's the life of Sakurai. and it's insane, and he's a monster.
Someone else, NSA Penguinot said, "Are you guys going to review the new animated Mario movie?" There was actually a joke that I think Justin Berube messaged me saying that your last act as director should be making a movie subcategory, which I did not do, but we should probably have a movie subcategory because I think we need to cover this Mario movie.
And we might as well go back and like pick up the Pikmin movies.
Yeah,
and all that. The Animal Crossing,
Super Mario Brothers, all the Pokemon stuff.
Yeah,
like we've definitely. I'm pretty sure we've had articles about Pokemon movies in the past and stuff like that. I think we might have had something on the Layton movie too, but that's also like I wrote a review for the Android release of Layton's the Lady Layton game. What was it called again? Layton's Mystery Journey. I played the Android version and wrote a review based on that because that seemed relevant to our audience. We're not going to quite like just review every mobile game, but if it's a mobile release with ties to Nintendo, we're going to cover it in some capacity.
Yeah. Still waiting on the Star Fox one, but
yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, well, we did get that one movie before, Star Fox Zero: The Journey Begins or whatever.
Battle Begins, Neal.
Yeah.
Battle Begins.
I'm sorry. Chariot Goblin mentioned, I remember when Neal did the 3DS timeline feature. I will point out here, I did not finish that.
Somebody did you see the comment on your article saying that you were stepping down, demanding that you finish that?
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. I didn't see that, but like, you can kind of line up to when that stopped as to when we got hit by a lot more Switch reviews. Which is because like I was just like, oh, it's the summer, I got time, and I wound up like I bit off way more than I could chew with that 3DS timeline feature. I got way deeper into it, and then I just kind of got lost in the shuffle, and I want to do that right. I didn't want to just crap out the rest. So yeah, if someone commented on it, then it'll guilt me enough to hopefully revisit that because I love the 3DS. It's probably my favorite Nintendo system.
Roronoa Zoro also said, I remember Neal reviewed the first few episodes of Pokemon anime, and that you should review all of them. Did you do that?
I thought it would be funny to write about the Pokemon anime. I saw it was on like Netflix or something, and then I wrote like two like jokey recaps of the first two episodes, and then just kind of acknowledged that this was too dark of a road to go down, and stopped before it could go further. There was some weird times in the Wii U era. A lot more. Yeah, we had to do things.
Everyone was out for survival. You couldn't just write about games.
Yeah. Also, as being no longer director, that opens me up to just live in Universal Studios as they create Nintendo Land.
Yeah.
Or Super Nintendo World.
Super Mario Land. No.
Super Nintendo World. Super Nintendo Land? I forget.
I think it's Super Nintendo World. Because it sounds like Mario World.
Yeah.
That's what Super Nintendo World.
But yeah, I think we still got a couple years. I think, the earliest, 2020, I think is when it's going to come out in Japan. I think the rumor was that they were going to start building the rides in Florida, like, now-ish. And theme park stuff takes a long time to make. Yeah. But whenever that happens, we'll see where we are all at by then, because it'll probably be like 2020 or 2021. But I am trying to do what I can to, if anybody can get down to Florida, they might. If anybody from the staff can get down to Florida, then we might have a place to stay.
Yeah, don't just say anybody. Don't open it up to the chat.
No. It's just staff. But like that's what I'm working on it. It's hard to know because there's no date for when it is, but I'm working on
it. Will John Reardon be super strict with RFN? No. My favorite episodes of RFN were the ones where it just got real stupid. So I don't imagine so, unless they start talking smack. I don't know what would cause me to to tighten a grip on RFN, but I don't think so.
If people have ideas for NWR, what's the best way to submit them, John?
You can submit them to. I mean, you can send it if they're like news stories. You can send them to what is it? Got News at NintendoWorldReport.com. You can email the appropriate staff member by going to our staff page at the bottom of the site. You could just tweet at us. I mean, you could invite me to a Splatoon lounge and voice chat your ideas to me. If that's the most convenient way to do that. It's, communicate in any way. But yeah, I mean, Got News is a good way to do, depending on what it is. Got News is a good way to communicate if you're not sure exactly who to talk to. But if you go to the staff page at the bottom of NintendoWorldReport.com, you just click staff, and then you can see everybody on staff and their jobs. So you just email the person who is in the position that would relate to the thing you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Or just apply to work at NWR. I mean. Yeah,
that's another thing. If you were watching this and you applied to write for Nintendo World Report,
within the last 6 months.
Yeah, hopefully you'll get a response, and I apologize.
Yeah.
It's just something. It's once again, it's with all this. I ran out of bandwidth to do everything for the job, which is also, I mean, the prospect of a baby on the way. That was the inciting incident to for me to step down as director and find John to replace me. But there's also the part that there's certain things that I wasn't as good at, and hiring people on a consistent basis was one of them. But now John can do that, and he can do what he wants. I'll be here to help.
Some of you, if you're in the chat and you did apply already, I probably have seen your email, because I've gotten a few forwarded to me, and we just haven't, during kind of the awkward transition period, we weren't normally Neal would do a Skype call with people to kind of interview them, but then I was like, well, do we have Neal do it, or should I do it? And if I do it, is that weird, or should I just join in, or how? So we were just all right, we gotta let it sit until we get everything announced and official, and now we can start back into the fun activities of interviewing people. Yay!
Yeah, and I mean, if I think we have talked about it before, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I might still be a part of that process. It's just that it won't be at the point where it'll be all right, I need to be the leader on this. It'll be more like John scheduling an interview, and hopefully I can be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that Neal does still own this website.
Yes.
So he can have me killed at any point if he doesn't like the way I'm doing things. Or just refuse to edit any of my reviews to punish me that could happen too. Are you still going to do your... Yeah, I like that's a major concern. That's heartwarming. There will still be live streams. Yes. John, will you have pictures of the Spider-Man, and is he truly a menace to society? Yes, he is. Speaking of Universal, somewhere on Facebook, there's a picture of me and Captain America. I saw Spider-Man. He was running from children. Not sure what he did to them to make them so angry, but I did catch a glimpse of him. John, will you retroactively fix the travesty that is Neal's Mario Kart 8 score? I agree with Neal's Mario Kart 8 score. Boom. Boom. I also agree with his Skyward Sword score. What other controversial scores do you have?
You don't agree with my Kirby's Epic Yarn score.
Oh yeah, but I don't have a strong opinion on Kirby's Epic Yarn.
I think what was another one? I think people weren't happy with my Mario Maker review. I think I gave it an 8 or an 8.5, but that was because of certain restrictions of the game at launch that did get lessened, because it was the stuff where it's you had to wait several in-game days or whatever to unlock everything. And I contend that Super Mario Maker is a magical game, but it's still an 8 out of a 10 for me.
I agree, especially now that the Miiverse stuff isn't really applicable
Yeah.
to it too, as far like commenting and everything like that. I would say that now more so than ever, it certainly aged its way into an 8 out of 10 if it wasn't already one.
I would say that the absolute peak of Mario Maker is incredible and amazing, but I think that the reality of what Mario Maker is now is drastically lessened than what it was at its peak.
Yeah.
And Splatoon's kind of operates the same way, except for I think Splatoon's peak is a much longer period of time.
I will say, I think you like Splatoon more than I like Splatoon.
Probably. I have my misgivings with the sequel because I think it was a little bit too more of the same, but it's still a very fun game. I mean, I think the Wii U, I think Splatoon 1 on Wii U is probably the best Wii U game.
Well. Okay. Okay. You didn't review Mario Sunshine at any point in your life, did you?
No.
That'd be too old. Okay.
There's a bunch of 10s for that because like every
Good.
big Nintendo game just got 10s back then.
Good. It deserves them. Can you force RFN to do a retroactive on Star Fox Adventures? They would love it. Did they not? No, we did. Who did?
We did something. It was connectivity because I think Nick Bray was a part of it.
Yeah, because I was gonna say somebody's done. Yeah, it was connected. Okay, yeah,
I
yeah,
did.
yeah.
I was
gonna
a part
say
of that.
I've listened to a podcast where people talked about Star Fox Adventure.
I think it was
and angrily was like they're wrong, but it wasn't RFN. So
Yeah,
I'm
was
sure
on.
they'll side with me on it. Yeah, I'm sure James loves Star Fox Adventures. It seems like his type of game.
Carmine asks what my child's first Nintendo game will be.
It's a good question.
I don't know what's coming out in July. I have a friend of mine who had a kid back in November, and he at my convincing he bought a Switch a couple months before he had his child. It was his first Nintendo console in a long time, and he was loving it. And Stardew Valley became his game of choice because it was something that he could put down at any moment. And like, you know, especially when he was in the hospital right after his wife gave birth, like the kid would be sleeping, mom would be sleeping, and he'd be able to just play Stardew Valley off to himself. And when anything needed to happen, he could just put the system down. So I'm thankful that I'm having a kid in a post-Switch world because I'm not crazy. I'm not going to be, you know, gaming 24/7. Be like, that kid can feed itself. Like,
Well, you just put him in one of the the Moby Wrap things, and then
yeah,
you're good. Maybe attach a Switch holder to the back
Yeah,
of him, and you're set.
it'll work out. But I do think that like I'll still be able to play games just because of the design of the Switch, and that's kind of nice.
And you can put him in that robot suit.
Yeah.
I mean,
I will.
Maybe
I will
literally
say
inside of the backpack. I don't know how big that thing is, but
So I found out that like I was my wife was pregnant back like it was right after Halloween, back in the fall, and there's proof on Amazon of me going there and wish listing a Yoshi adult costume because for Halloween this year I'm going to be Yoshi and my child will be Baby Mario, and I've had this idea for years and I'm so stoked
it's finally happening.
that I'm actually getting to execute on this. But like it was just like it was the kind of thing like I was at work and like I can't talk to anybody about this yet. This is how like my like jittery excitedness is gonna express itself, which was looking on Amazon to find my Halloween outfit for when I have a child.
Was that like the first thing you did?
I mean, not like the very first thing. It was the first thing I did at work. After
Besides,
after
I mean,
finding
you
out
certainly
that
weren't working. That's for sure.
I got to work and was like, this Halloween outfit, I got to figure it out.
Yeah, crucial. James gets angry when he plays actual good games. I can't imagine what Star Fox Adventures would do to him. Maybe one of those guys will watch this and they'll just everybody go pester James to do it.
I do want to. I mean, I don't really have an answer to your question, GX. But how will your stepping down affect the development and release of Sushi Striker? I will. Like that's coming out soon, right?
I haven't heard anything.
I mean, like I guess Detective Pikachu's March. I would say Sushi Striker will probably like show up like June or May or something.
It could be the next giant robot.
Yeah.
It might
I
not
don't.
show up until the next system.
I don't know. Like, because I think when it's an internal project, you can do that more. But like Sushi Striker is being made by Indie Zero, which they
Star Fox
did.
Zero was made by Argonaut, or Star Fox Two.
Oh, that is true.
So
Um,
Sushi Striker that'll be on
yeah,
the
it could just be finished and then they just cancel it.
the
I don't know.
release it 2 years later.
I think that the 3DS is doing well enough that Sushi Striker is not going to get canceled like that. And I don't think you need to worry about Sushi Striker coming out and then being like, then we had Sushi Striker 64 all set. This is going to make it look bad.
Yeah. Miyamoto just got frustrated at how good the previous Sushi Striker looked and canceled it and stole all its code.
But I think Sushi Striker will be out before E3.
So
That's what I got.
So that can be your child's first game then.
Yeah, Sushi Striker.
Yep. Neal should design a custom Nintendo Labo baby carrier build. Yes.
I can try.
And then just,
it's coming out in April. I'll have a
use
couple months until the kid comes.
Use the HD Rumble to create some sort of like rocking bassinet.
I'll use the
child
the
to sleep.
Joy-Con, the Labo Garage, or the Toy-Con Garage, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Just start putting the child in existing Joy-Con builds to see what happens.
Put that kid in the house.
Justin says
Baruma
this
showed
is
up.
still going on. Wow, I made it. Good. I'm glad we already talked about how crazy Justin Baruma is before he showed up, so that he wasn't here for it. Got all those mean comments out of the way.
Justin, don't listen to what anyone says. Don't go back to when I admit that, like, you're all right with your Zelda takes. That didn't happen. I must have been drunk.
John, do the views and opinions of your me reflect those of Nintendo World Report as an organization? Yeah. 100%.
My
You can
dog.
take that to court.
My dog's on the couch next to me, and she either snored or farted. I can't tell.
Something came out of an orifice.
Yeah, like she's passed out right now. She's bored by this.
Let's see. Okay, Justin's going back, so we'll see Justin. Justin will just be back here in a few minutes, pissed off and.
Or happy. I don't know.
Breath of the Wild greater than Mario Odyssey. I agree with you. But then I also... let's back to controversial game scoring opinions. Mario Odyssey, 8 out of 10.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
I might agree with that.
Ooh.
I don't know if I'd go 8 out of 10, but I don't think
You wouldn't go 10 out of 10 on it, though.
I would. I'd probably be 8.5 or 9. I do think Odyssey is fantastic, but I think I've heard your explanations as to why it's an 8 out of 10 for you, and I mostly agree. I don't really have any great desire of knocking Odyssey down because I think it is a fantastic game. It wasn't as transcendent for me as it was for others.
Justin says 9 out of 10. So that's... Though Joe agrees with me, 8 out of 10. 8 is the new 7.9.
Or 7.5.
See, they all agree with
Yeah.
They're all on my side.
Well, that's good. You got a good audience.
Yeah. Now if I can none of them have read my 9 out of 10 review for Federation Force though, so that'll turn it back against me.
I think because I reviewed Federation Force for Nintendo Force, I think I gave it an 8.5.
Yeah.
But like, man, Federation Force is awesome.
I remember like talking to you because we played it together. Because when you're reviewing an online game, like it's hard to do that because there's nobody to play with. So we played through a good chunk of that game together, and I remember talking to you and being like, man, like I really like this game. Is that okay? Like if I give this a high score, like is it okay to do that? So I don't know.
I know some people did not like that game.
No, well, every reviewer is entitled to their opinion, and every review is valid. That being said,
you've learned well.
Yeah. A lot of the people who don't like that game have not ever played that game. So the people who have played that game and are like, this isn't for me, you have a valid opinion and I respect you. The rest of you can shut up or go play the game.
Although Joe Munger just makes a very good point that you had to play Federation Force at launch when people were online.
There are still people online. Go online right now.
Not often. Not often.
I've been on. I still play Federation Force now and then.
You know what was shocking? I went back to Kid Icarus Uprising like 3 or 4 years after launch and was able to get online multiplayer games no problem.
Yeah. I never did much of the... I love that game single player.
Yeah.
But I never did much of the multiplayer.
I played a ton of the online stuff.
Yeah. Did you play it with the touch controls, or did you do the jank face button controls?
I did that. I did Circle Pad Pro because I'm a lefty.
So am I, but
Oh wait, no. Then I was doing the touchscreen, I think, because that's why I had the Circle Pad Pro. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I did I mapped movement to the right face buttons, and aiming to the left or to the circle pad, and it worked okay for like the single player, but the people on multiplayer were obviously using touch controls, and the people who got good with touch controls were very good.
I was pretty good at that game.
Yeah.
I know there's a Pandaradox, who is a fan of the site, friend of the site. I run into him at PAX East every now and then. There was a PAX East where Nintendo hosted a Kid Icarus Uprising tournament, and that dude won. What killed me is I think I could have brought my Circle Pad Pro and I would have been able to use it, but I didn't. So I wound up I helped Pandaradox win in the first round by not attacking him and attacking everybody else, but wound up being knocked out in the first round. Then he wound up winning, so I felt like I supported him.
Everybody's enjoying Cambot's dramatic zooms. Cambot likes to zoom in while I'm making dramatic comments. Neal, you've passed on your politically neutral directional tone. Jedi mind powers well.
Yes.
It's
just being balanced, like...
Well, and it's I think it just comes from once you've like written anything, like if you've made a video or a written article or a review or anything, and someone's just being like, well, your opinion sucks, then like you suddenly get this mindset of like, maybe everyone's opinion is okay. And no, that's like I should appreciate it.
I mean, like my thing is, and I've seen it with a lot of games, especially I'm very aware of the I guess the hive mind set of Nintendo fans sometimes, and just not even Nintendo, video game fans, where there's a lot of groupthink involved, where people are just like, no, this game is good, this game is bad, that's what Metacritic says. And I do think that Metacritic can be a useful tool for just getting a top level view of like what's good and what's bad, because it gives you an average. But those things aren't paramount. Like a game's all what you like, what you want. Yeah. And with scores, like I got vilified, I got threatened, I got harassed over giving Mario Kart 8 a 7.5 out of 10. And since then, I have been hyper aware that whenever you get that, like, I think for a Fire Emblem game, like a GameSpot or something, like gave it like a 6 out of 10. It was maybe one of the Fates games. And people just went to town destroying, like, this dude for not liking a Fire Emblem game as much. And, like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's okay that he didn't like that game as much. If you like that game, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If somebody didn't like the game, that's totally fine. Like that's like just being more neutral about it, and not as like blanking on the word. Just not being so like stubborn about like this is the only view.
Right.
You'll be a lot happier on the internet.
Well, there are a lot of games that have pretty low Metacritic scores that I like. And that's okay.
I was baffled that I thought I was going to be the only site to give Celeste a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But like a lot of other people, like I was I was pleasantly surprised that that game connected with so many other people like it did for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, I think it was IGN's review of Star Fox 2. I had a hard time,
Yeah,
but I don't think I said anything too. I think I just passively aggressively commented on perspective in reviews in my Star Fox 2 review, and that was all I did. I didn't attack anybody on Twitter.
yeah, like I fully realize that. I mean, both you and I love Star Fox 2. A lot of other people didn't like it, and that's okay.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's go back on some of these. Joe Munger says Neal NBA Playgrounds is good now. I spent a couple hours with that, like that gold release or whatever. I disagree. I think it's better than the dumpster fire that it was in May. I don't like that game. Like I tried. I put a lot of time into that launch version, and I have no urge to go back to it.
So it's outside dumpster fire.
Yeah, yeah. Outside of, I wanted to go back and see if they changed that much, and really, it was just the updates that were on other consoles, and they gave it for free to the people who already bought the game and re-released it. Cherry Goblin says GTA Chinatown Wars is the best DS game in my opinion. I don't think it's the best DS game, but I think GTA Chinatown Wars is an incredible game. It is probably my favorite Grand Theft Auto game.
Can my favorite Grand Theft Auto game be LA Noire? Or is that? Does that
yeah, no, I mean that's fun. Well, I guess you know what? That's not Rockstar North. Like that's Rockstar. That would be like saying like your favorite Zelda game is Xenoblade.
I mean, it might be.
I mean, if you're okay with that being a correct answer there, then sure. But like, because that's like, I mean, it's same publisher, similar style, but different developer.
Yeah.
I haven't checked out LA Noire. Like that was, I decided to get Doom.
Like the original one either. Like
no. Okay. I played because like when that came out, I got Doom and I got Skyrim. Mm-hmm. And LA Noire was kind of the one like I'll come back to this at some point.
Yeah,
I want to check it out.
It's a great game. It was like 3 discs on the Xbox 360, and I played all of them. So I don't know if I'll get through it again on Switch, but it is cool to have on there.
We got a question. Do you find it hard to focus on new games and discussing them as they come out, and wish you could focus on past games and legacy consoles more? Yes.
Yeah, I mean it is kind of cyclical though. Like during like the holidays, everything will get really crazy, and there will be a bajillion new games to talk about. But there will be times in the year, even with the Switch being as popular as it is, there will be times in the year where things slow down, and we'll be struggling to come up with things to talk about, and so we'll talk about old games.
John, I'm literally working on 3 reviews right now.
Yeah, like, we're still catching up for Christmas. We're still catching up.
Although to be fair, one of them is legitimately all the way done. Dandara review going up Tuesday morning. I need to finish up Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. Yes, the 3DS is still a thing. And that
At
review
least
will
Atlas thinks that.
Yeah, that review is going up Monday morning. So then I'll have 2 of those games done. But like still like next week's pretty ridiculous because Disc Jam looks cool too. Like that's the Windjammers-esque game coming to Switch. You have Dandara. There's Aegis Defenders, Mercenary Kings, Mercenary Saga Chronicles.
The Fall 2 comes out like the 12th, I think.
10 days.
Like,
the 13th.
Yeah.
Owlboy is out on the 13th as well. There's a lot of good games on Switch, but yeah, like I mean, I always wish we can do more legacy coverage, and I guess I wish John can do more legacy coverage now.
I think we do legacy coverage. I mean, I think that's one of the cool things about. We'll circle back around to Know Your Developer. One of the cool things about that series is that it allows us to talk about current stuff while also going back through kind of the behind the scenes of older games as well. And then even like weekend live streams pretty regularly. We go back to retro stuff. So I mean, I think we do, especially like here on YouTube, cover that stuff as well. If you want to cover a bunch of retro stuff, apply to the site and become the retro.
We also have a follow-up
editor.
to that. With all the systems and games released over the past 30 years, do you feel it's worth going back to past releases and reviewing them for a modern audience?
No, but what assuming past releases as in retro games. What I think is cool, and what one of the cool things about NWR, and I started, this is going back, I think it was your question again, about things we want to revive that have kind of fallen by the wayside. I went back and started digging through it was the reviews of the first two Metroid Prime games. Both by Jonathan Metz.
Yep.
And just so one of the cool things that NWR has, because it is a way older site than most Nintendo sites, or even a lot of just websites on the internet right now, is that we have reviews of these games from when they were made. So all over YouTube and all over the internet, there's tons of here's my review of this retro game. And that's all well and good, but we have this unique position of being well, here's our review of this game from when it came out. And
we have a lot of reviews.
Right, there's no nostalgia goggles. You're just getting a review from the person who played the review copy when that game was coming out. And so it's a very different perspective on it. And those the videos that the Metroid, I think we call them vintage reviews. The Metroid and Metroid Echoes reviews that are up on the YouTube channel right now are, I think, really cool, kind of looks into the history of the site and of Nintendo and of all that. So I'd love to do more of those and just kind of dig back into our backlog of content. Because that's one of the cool things we can do with the YouTube channel is make use of that existing content to create some really cool features, even though those reviews were never written. I mean, they were never written with the intention of these will be cool in 20 years. But guess what? They are.
Zach's Earth Wars review should be up soon.
Okay. Good. This is your 24-hour coverage of Zach's Earth Wars review, coming to you live from NWR TV.
We got, do you think the Yoshi Switch game will get delayed to 2019? I don't think that's totally off the table, but I doubt it. I think that's going to come out in the summer.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't... The weird... I'm having this weird experience with Nintendo now of it during the Wii U era. Every time something got delayed, even if it was something that you normally wouldn't care about, it was such a stab in the heart, because that was probably the only game you were going to get for 3 months.
Yeah.
But now with the Switch, if Yoshi gets delayed, it's oh, yes, that's fine. I'll be playing something else, so if I have to wait to play it, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, I think from what Nintendo has shown us about 2018 so far, the only thing that we know is that I don't think Yoshi's coming out in the first 5 months of the year. I think we know...
It won't be before E3.
Yeah, I think we know what the first 5 months are, and that's, Builders and Bayonetta in February, Kirby in March, May will be Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and somewhere in between all that will be Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition and Mario Tennis Aces.
Yeah. And then
that sounds like a pretty good 5 months, honestly.
Well, and at E3, expect the entire rest of the Wii U library to be announced for Switch.
There's all sorts of dopey
Devil's
rumors
Third
of just...
included.
No.
Yep. Neal, how dare you criticize my opinion of a game? My opinion is valid, Neal.
I'm glad you like that game. I'm glad you're one of the 10.
Have you played it, Neal?
No.
Interesting.
I'm glad you're one of the 10.
It's fun. It's a fun game.
What else we got? Have you heard the rumor about Nintendo having a normal direct around February 12th to 15th? No, but sure, they could have a direct in February or March.
If they're gonna do another direct before E3, it'll be... Haven't historically, it's kind of been the month before, like May or so. I mean,
I think
don't they do like one beginning
so,
of the year direct and then maybe something around E3.
so I do think that you usually can go back and like see what Nintendo's done in the past and kind of use that as a barometer. Like they do have a habit. Like the September Direct has been, I think, 3 years in a row they've done that. Um, they've also traditionally, I think, done things in like February and March. I think last year they had an April Direct. I do think that the current format change of like how they did the Direct Mini in January, that could kind of mess up what they do throughout the year. And I think the success of the Switch might change up how they do Directs a little bit. That being said, I don't think I'd really. I think it's a possibility, sure. I don't think I'd really expect a Direct in February. I could see one happening in March. Um, I think that you don't really need to show that like the January Direct Mini kind of was just that like, and then combine that with Labo, that kind of was just that like, here's our first 5 months of the year. What else are they going to really do other than like tease later in the year stuff? So I think if there is a Direct before E3, it'll be closer to E3.
Right. That January Direct was just to say, hey, there's going to be some games while you wait for E3. Like these are the games that we don't really have time to announce at E3, so they don't need to do another one before E3. And that's something we've talked about a little bit, where we're used to Nintendo in panic mode, where they're like, announce something so that someone will buy something. Someone mentioned a Yoshi game to me. They drew a picture of Yoshi on a napkin, so let's announce that. That's coming. Where they're not in that mode anymore, so they don't need to announce stuff. They've got everything before E3 filled up. They're good. Maybe something right before E3, but I don't think any earlier than that.
I think March or April is something that can, and it might be something small. It might be another Direct Mini, and it might just be like, as I think Joe Munger just said, they will show off Mario Tennis at some point before E3. They might just be like, all right, like here's the, like Mario Tennis is coming out in April, Hyrule Warriors is in May. There's also like, here's a Switch eShop game. Yeah. Here's some Nindies. Maybe they'll do a Nindie Spotlight in March or April. Yeah. Like and maybe they'll give a little bit of a tease of like Fire Emblem Switch, which someone else just mentioned. Like, I don't think we're getting any like brand new ridiculous announcements. Although who knows? It's a bold new Nintendo. Maybe they'll just be like, yo, Smash Brothers is coming out right now. You're going to play it right now. That's it. We out. We Nintendo. Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
They might.
No. Smash Bros. And Mother 3 out now. Get them while you can. Because if they do release Mother 3, it will somehow be in limited quantities, because you have to buy the Ness amiibo. Or who's in Mother 3? It's not Ness, right? It's
Lucas.
Lucas, yeah. You have to buy his amiibo and then scan it on your Wii U, which then gets you a copy of Mother 3, which you can then upgrade to the Switch version for $2. That's how that works. Will you guys be reviewing Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for the Switch?
You're damn right we are.
That's a great game. I reviewed that game for a site that no longer exists, and I gave it a 10. So. I think Andy reviewed that for us on Wii U. I think he gave it a 9. I did a video version of it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because I tried to go back through our Wii U backlog and get all the big ones up.
I'm gonna.
While Neal looks for that, is John a West Coaster or East Coaster or the middle? I am firmly the middle. I exist equally in all places at once. I am omnipresent, one might say.
Interesting.
Don't forget the biggest board 2018 Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival Ultimate Lottie Edition. Ugh. All
right. Andy gave it a 9.5. Don Koopman gave it an 8.5.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's what. So I never finished Tropical Freeze.
You must. It is
I so
hard as balls.
so here's my thing with the Donkey Kong Country games, and I think I
Oh, you hate Donkey Kong and everything
well
that
no
brings
no
happiness to everyone.
no I think I think the first Super Nintendo game is subpar. I think the second one's okay, and I think the third one's underrated. In general, I don't like those I don't like the Super Nintendo trilogy as much as a lot of other people do. Um, I think that Donkey Kong Country Returns is a fine video game. I reviewed the 3DS version and liked it a whole lot. Like I 100%ed that version. I did not 100% the Wii version. With Tropical Freeze, the reason why I didn't finish that is more that when it came out, I was in the process of moving,
Yeah.
and like I bought it, it was like I bought it and came home and was like, my Wii U's not even hooked up. And like, so it was just kind of like, I didn't really have a lot of, like, it was just a lot of chaos going on. And then, I played a little bit of it, got a couple worlds in, and then just kind of stopped and never went back to it.
Yeah.
I, I've never totally loved the way Donkey Kong handles in the rare, or in the retro studios Donkey Kong games. And I think like the design's beautiful. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. I think like the collectibles like are there's a lot of them, but it's not that overbearing. Like I think it's like for example, I 100% at Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a doable thing. I don't think I'm amazing at games. I definitely had some like some focus that took a lot of time to do. Uh, but just there's something off to me about the way that the characters control that makes me enjoy those games, but like not adore them.
Yeah, I see, and I like the thing. It's funny. I streamed Tropical Freeze a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about how because that is a complaint that I've heard a lot about it is the characters control. They don't like the way that characters control. And to me, it just always felt like I like how heavy Donkey Kong feels, and that like if you play like multiplayer, like Diddy or Dixie, like the other characters don't feel that way. Like Donkey Kong feels like the character that he is, and I think it controls solidly and consistently, so it's something that you can adapt to. It's not like it controls poorly; it just feels different than like Mario. But I don't know. You should review it and play through the whole thing.
Maybe I will.
There you go.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, that's a long ways off. I'm kind of only focused on the next month of reviews because there's so many damn games. Yeah.
Are there going to be any changes to the site YouTube? We talked about that a bit earlier. Working on it. We're in the conceptual phases of a site redesign, which we hope to have by the 20th anniversary, which is 2019. As far as YouTube goes, the content won't be horribly different, but we do hope to make the site a better place to watch the NWR TV content, if that makes sense.
Yes.
We want to make the website the best place to be for everything we make. Yup. If you want a more rambly and longer version of that, then rewind like a while. Let's see. Looking for relevant questions. John, when are you going to go back to SteamWorld Dig for our viewing pleasure? I don't. My version is out of date now, because they released the Switch version. Do I have to start it over? I did not finish that run through of SteamWorld Dig. No. I do not understand video games, and I even feel angry because at NWR shareholders meetings, the shareholders always discuss things. Yes.
Like that's a deep cut, GX.
Yeah.
To that one like ridiculous shareholder question from what was that like six? Was that last year? Obscure. Or was that the year before? I think it was pre-Switch.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I don't know. We've been going we're at
Almost 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours. So
Yeah.
we'll probably wrap this thing up pretty
If
soon.
I mean, I guess like we've got a lot of people watching. I'll throw this out there, and I'll throw this to the man in charge now. If things like this are stuff that you want to see, where it's just kind of like staffers interacting and
State of the
talking
site
about stuff,
address.
yeah, state of the site address or something like that. Um, I would imagine it's something we could do again. Correct, Mr. Director?
Yeah. Well, I have this setup saved on OBS now,
Yeah.
so it's quite easy.
And I mean, just in general, like if you have any ideas of what you would like to see us do differently with reviews, hit me up. I'm. It's like I'm not gonna go like being like we're doing letter grades now or something like that. Like no, like we're gonna stick to that score format.
We should do an arbitrary like score out of 7 snails.
Yeah, it should be like. Guess what? The scores are out of 12 now.
Just something to really
Get
make
on board.
Metacritic go like, oh no.
Yeah. But yeah, with reviews, like I'm not gonna like shake them up to that degree. In all honesty, part of that's because like we've got almost 20 years of scores on the 10-point system. That just seems like a lot of work. And I think it'd be kind of silly to like be like, oh, retroactively, this one's a 5 out of 6 now. So like not like that, but it's just as far as like other review content because yeah, like I want to do more following up on games after release. Like that's why we are doing an ARMS review revisit that's going to take into account all the updates that have happened over the past number of months. I actually I think it's next weekend is the Party Crash. That will be my first Party Crash that I'm going to check out because I reviewed that game back when it came out and then have barely played it. Like within like a month of that game's release, I've only checked it out a couple times, mostly to play locally with some friends and family. And I'm curious to see like go deeper in all the changes and see if my thoughts have changed on what I thought that game was back in May to what it is now after all its updates. And hopefully we'll do more of that in the future. And once again, any other reviews ideas, like I'm listening. I'm open to trying new things and messing around with stuff, whether it's video content, whether it's written features. I'm going to be messing around with some stuff. But we'll still have your regular reviews. We'll still be doing the weekly release article, and it'll be cool. We're going to try to cover all the Switch stuff as best as we can.
Yes. And really, like I mean, if you ever have suggestions for anything, reviews or videos or news or features, I mean, all of that this is a good time to suggest it, because unlike Neal, I don't have a discerning eye for what's a good idea and what's not. So
yeah, trick John with all the bad ideas you can.
There, and it might, who knows what'll happen. It's a
you should
wild world right now.
Twice a week you should do a news podcast. Call it Connectabytes. Or what was that what we called it? I don't know. There was a stretch, I think it was before the Wii U was announced, that Patrick Barnett and I did twice weekly, like 15-20 minute news focused podcasts, and it was an outrageous amount of work for what shouldn't have been that much. We did it for like 3 months, and then we're like, nope, we're done.
That's the advantage of live streams like this.
Yeah, that's how News Report kind of happened, and and now I feel like the barely talk about news now. I know I apologize for all the times that I've gone on News Report recently and just kind of trolled. I'll be honest about that.
Off topic. SAT, ACT style scoring for reviews. That's it.
I have to look up what that even is. It's been a long time since high school.
This game scores in the top 10 percentile of games on Switch. John, what are you doing to pressure Discord into allowing more custom emojis? I don't speak internet. I boycott emojis after the terrible movie they made. I don't think they deserve our support. Yeah. Do you have anything further to add, Neal? Not on emojis, but but on the stream. I feel like we're coming to the end of our questions.
I'm ready for dinner.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay.
I'll review it. I'll give it a score out of 10.
So I guess one last time, has the Earth, what is it? Earth War? What's that game called?
Earth Wars. Oh, I should check.
It has been posted.
Yes!
It is on the
We
site.
did it! We did it!
So we can officially now end the stream, knowing that Earth Wars is there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess thank you for watching. If you're watching this at NWR TV on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching this on Nintendo World Report, you should still go subscribe. And did you know we have a YouTube channel? Because we do. Here you are. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go to NintendoWorldReport.com. Be a part of the solution. Go interact with both forms of content.
John, are you streaming tonight?
If I can stream Star Fox Assault, then I will stream, because I really
I give you permission.
Okay.
Thanks. Stream Star Fox Assault.
Thanks. I have to get. I'm the director, which just means that now, like Neal put me in the position of director, and then has himself listed as owner. So really, I moved up, but then he just put himself above me still.
It's a weird snake thing where technically as reviews editor, I report to you, but then you report to me.
So you ask me a question, and I go, let me ask my boss, and then I go email you again.
Yeah.
The bureaucracy must persist.
Yep.
But yeah.
But yeah, I'll back off. You can do what you want, but yeah, just play Star Fox Assault tonight, man.
Okay.
That's a great game. Star Fox Assault rules.
Yeah, it does. It's where they should take the series. Just Star Fox Assault, multiple endings.
And that multiplayer. That multiplayer is really fun.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Coming to PAX East, and then we can play that multiplayer in person.
That's a good idea.
Just saying.
Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, like, comment.
Bye.
Patreon. Link to Discord
in
the description.
Our new director.
Owner. Review. Oh, you did it the right way that time. Okay. And we will see you next time we see you. Bye.